Hi everyone, welcome to Boothy Bites. Boothy, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! How you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Had an awesome, very relaxing break. Did you manage to switch off over the break at all?
Yeah, got to chill out. Got rid of all my children and my wife, so managed like a bit of a cruisy time, which was good. And as we just spoke about, managed to steal lots of booze from people I have no idea and drink it. And now I'm kind of busily kind of having to replace bottles where they were last seen. So yeah, it's a bit of a catch-up thing right now.
Whoopsie daisies. As I said, that would teach you for spring cleaning. Like, don't go spring cleaning. So let's get into it. What sort of goals are you hearing from clients heading now into 2026? And how important is it to get a lending review done early to support those goals?
I think everyone comes back after Christmas and tries to dust off, and like I'm not a big. I am a goal setter for business, but like a goal setting thing is probably a little bit. That's probably not what we're talking about. But I feel this time of year, when you've had chance to sort of reconnect with family, probably sit down with your partner or your wife or key people in your life. You start to socialize and talk about what they've done in the year, what you'd like to do next year, and start to kind of get back to a little bit of an agreement about what the next year looks like for you both, and that goes down to like travel, health. I mean, I need to lose 10 kilos, but I do want to travel more. I'd like to continue drinking lots more beer, but I know I've got to give that up. The gym is just next door. I have to go there and it's a nightmare, and I'll continue taking the pills to take it easy, right? All of those things are in one side of things, but the other side of things we talk about are things like, I want to, buy another investment property. Oh, let's do those renovations. Oh no, I've got those terrible credit cards I want to clean up. So I feel this time of year is the time of year where a lot of clients come back. They've got these little financial goals they want to do, which involve the debt and the lending. And therefore, this is a great time of year to check in with your broker, because, we can start doing the reviews for, what equity we've got, what affordability is there for your property, recheck those and sort of reposition those elements. And the other thing as well is a lot of people this time of year sort of reset budget as well, so whether it's a saving goal, a spending goal, a retirement of debt goal as well, and we'd love to be on those journeys. So that's what a lot of our clients are doing. And then similarly, if we're getting clients with our financial planning partners are going back to their planners this time of year to address the same goals. So it's always a busy time of year right now where we're starting to reconnect the value of this review. Interest rates haven't changed crazily over the last 12, 18 months, but certainly credit policy has changed, and certainly values in property have changed. They've definitely gone up. So the review is really insightful for a refresh of the base for plans and things for next steps. So again, book in with your broker and let's do those reviews.
That's it. Let's get the ball rolling for 2026. So after the December RBA meeting, what's your read on where interest rates are heading this year?
So the RBA, when they met in December, they were really, really worried because we'd got that October data for inflation, which was a lot higher than they expected and the market expected as well. So we saw the change in sentiment really quickly. So the bonds and the yields increased in line with the expectations now that certainly there's no rate cut. But secondly, potentially imminently, in the next few months, there is going to be a rate increase, which is a worry, there's no doubt about it. So that sentiment, which changed very, very quickly, was reflected in the bond market. Luckily, we had data for the November CPI, which came a lot lower, and in fact a little bit lower than the expectations of the economists. Now the RBA haven't had a chance to digest or review that yet, which is good, but certainly that would put them a little bit more at ease around that sort of immediate need to increase interest rates. And the second part of that is we do have data for the CPI coming in at the end of this month. I think it's the 28th of January. And then that will be a good gauge for the next meeting, which is in the first week of February for the RBA. So, realistically right now, do we think interest rates are going to go down this year? No, I think we're at that sort of median level. Let's see what this inflation looks like in the coming months. I don't think the RBA is in that trigger space now to increase. They're definitely a watch and wait, and sort of they're worried if it incrementally increases. But for me, that watching the petrol prices go down over the last month or so, and certainly over the last year, that gives me hope that the cascading effect of high fuel prices, but now lower fuel prices on lower costs, I think we'll start to see a lot of that unwind as well, and that takes a lot of time. So my call this year is I don't think interest rates are going to change at all. I think we're probably going to have 9 months where they're going to be the same, and then really we're looking for a new direction. But hopefully, fingers crossed, CPI is lower and we're safe.
Yes, fingers crossed indeed. Now, what's changing with trust lending at the moment, and how should these structures be approached moving forward?
Yeah, so just as I said before, a lot of the lenders are changing a lot of their policies, and mainly the banks. So the banks came out at the end of last year and started to review their policy around lending to more structured ownership of property in particular. So trusts and companies which own property as a single asset, the banks really are just not happy to look at those loans right now and lend to those trusts to buy property. So lenders like CBA, Macquarie Bank came and changed their trust lending. So the trusts we're talking about, a company is a company, but we've got, the unit trusts and we've got family trusts or discretionary trusts. Those entities really are now difficult to borrow in. So again, if you are considering some alternate structures to buy property, come see us. Let's do a review. Let's make sure we've got policies in place with other lenders which can do it. But certainly there's a lot more policing around alternate ownership structures for property lending. So it's going to get a bit tight in the coming months.
And what are rates sitting at right now across those owner-occupier and investor lending?
Yeah, so I think the variable rate really hasn't changed a lot, but there is a lot of competition. People come in with special rates and things like that. So, around about 5.25% is a good rate. We're still supporting Macquarie Bank as a business a lot for our vanilla stuff. Some of the more bespoke lenders, we've got People's Choice at a 5.14. We've got a Folio Prime. They're a boutique lender as well. They're 4.95 P&I. But remembering, our large lenders like CBA, NAB, ANZ and Westpac, they all price discretionary. So if you've got a big deal, low LVR, we can go fight for better rates there. Interestingly, Health Bank, which has got like a bit of a blend of different brands to go to market. So Health is one of them, teachers and things like that. They've got a 2 and 3 year fixed at 4.95. Right now, which I think is pretty good. That's P&I. So if you do have some concerns of interest rates going up this year, locking in for 2 years at 4.95, I think maybe valuable. Our investment lending is probably about 20 points higher. So we're looking at sort of 5.44, 5.39. That's Bendigo and Macquarie Bank. And then interest only, we're looking at sort of 5.59, 5.65. So another 20 points higher as well for those lenders. Some fixed rates there, sort of 2 year fixed 5.54 for an interest only investor loan if you want to sort of cash in and lock in at that rate as well. But look, if you've got a big loan, low LVR, and we value the property, let's go back and fight for the best rate that we can get.
Yes, absolutely. And what are you seeing in the property market heading into 2026, and how are affordability and limited stock shaping decisions at the moment?
Yes, it's no doubt it's been hard, right? So we've had one side of the market being really stimulated by all of the benefits from the government. So we've had the first home guarantee scheme coming in. We've had lots of lenders' mortgage insurance waivers. We've still got stamp duty waivers and things like that. So supporting that first home buyer has really pushed that affordability. That price point up for that first home. And we're talking, dwellings up to sort of $1.5 million now with the benefits and the changes that have been handed out. Now, that also is the affordable space for the average investment property as well. So, again, sadly, we've got our first home buyers and we've got our investors fighting for the same dwellings. And subsequently, those price points have gone up. Now, the difficulty is that now these price points have gone up, the affordability for that first home buyer, looking sort of at that $800,000, $900,000 property, which is now $1.1 million, it's unaffordable. So what we're seeing is the heat go out of that first home market. I feel that in the next few months, that there is genuinely an unaffordability in the locations people want to buy at that price point because, the lenders have clamped down on the credit as well. So again, we've got this tight market in that space. Hence, a lot of investors have been going and fueling the markets in, cities like Brisbane. That's still going gangbusters. But there's new stock and there's access to stock there at that price point. Perth has been a really big big boom over the last 12 months. Again, it's more affordable, and Adelaide as well has benefited. But I think they're getting to that price cap now where it's not affordable, or the prices are that high. And are those cities, in particular Perth and Adelaide, which are a bit smaller, are they the investor cities at that price point to be investing in? So again, there's a challenge there. For me this year, if I'm buying an investment property, I'll be looking down in Melbourne. I think that's got some value still, but certainly it's a different environment. And then the higher end of the market, affordability is definitely a lot harder. The average house price is a lot higher. Some of the properties which were $1.5 million are now $2.5-3 million now, which is an average property, and it's not great. And the affordability for that sort of that next step up for a homeowner is hard as well. So I think we'll see a bit of growth, but I don't think it's going to be as active as possible. Some of the forecasts are that we'll see a few people starting to sell property, so investors sort of getting rid of assets, repaying debt, and sort of happy with this price point here because it's not going to continue to go up. So hopefully that puts a bit more stock and liquidity in the market, and it keeps things going for us as well. So I think we're for a slower pace this year and a bit more sort of selective where we buy.
Sounds good. Now, what's the role in the intergenerational transfer of wealth? How's that starting to play into property and lending conversations?
Yeah, so going back to that affordability, so if you've got kids, and I'm not talking young kids, I'm talking kids who are sort of settling down, having families themselves, and you're becoming grandparents, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, look, you want them to live in a location near you. They want them to have the best start. So we're starting to see a lot of parents and grandparents supporting their children and their grandchildren getting into property, and that's a whole sort of niche space around lending. So how do you gift? What benefits can you do? Can your family pledge, and all those kind of things? So again, we're starting to get a lot more conversations whereby that the children are looking to buy that $1.5 million home. They can only afford to borrow one. They can get a gift for $500,000 to cover the difference. And how do we include the family members to support equally as well? So that is definitely a real thing that's happening out there, where we're trying to support children and grandchildren getting into their first property, because over the last 30 years, those people have made so much money in property, and in Australia it's only gone one way. They feel that's like a backbone of their wealth creation and plan for the future, but they want the convenience of creating that sort of family centre close by each other. You don't want people going out west or interstate, because you're never going to see them and you're not going to get benefit of the grandchildren, right?
No, it makes a lot of sense. And last question, Lydian has a big year ahead. What's happening across the Sydney and Melbourne teams now that we're right into 2026?
Yeah, right into it. Yeah, so like last year was good for us because we partnered with two businesses which are mortgage broking businesses in a joint venture, as it were. And those businesses come with more people, so they're offices, not individual mortgage brokers. Traditionally we've done mobile brokers, so we're really pleased this year. We've got a good team in Sydney with an office, that's run by Sal and Josh in the private team, and we're looking to load those guys up and get them really pumping. And similarly, Vaughan Clark and the Clark Finance Group last year, we've got a plan with that business over a 2-year sort of strategy with the group, and quite kindly they're rebranding from Clark to Lydian, and we'll be going back to all of their clients to say, hey, it's now Lydian. Welcome to the mothership group. We love what the Clark vibe is. We're going to keep that vibe, but you're now part of a bigger group, and hopefully we can add extra services and extra things to their financial goals. So that's our sort of plan this year. So the offices, we're going to continue growing. We've got a couple of new brokers, being Kyle and Jorge joined us. So those two boys are out west in Sydney, and we're on a recruiting platform now for maybe a couple of brokers down in Melbourne, and maybe a little bit of a business in Brisbane. So that's the plan this year. But Roxy, he's still on holiday, which is great. It's been nice this week. It's been really, really steady. I can write
It's been really quiet.
It's been really quiet. I've been able to write my things to do list, my goals for 2026 list.
Oh, well, Roxy, if you're watching this, I hope you're having an amazing holiday, and it looks like Chris has everything under control in the office, in HQ. Well, Boothy, thanks for your time. Thanks, everyone, for watching Boothy's Bites, and we'll see you next month, right?
Ciao.
Bye.